Rain hammered the broken pavement like the sky itself was angry, each drop slicing through the dim yellow glow of a flickering streetlight. The alley smelled of damp cardboard, rust, and forgotten lives. A small figure stood in the middle of it all, barefoot, shivering, her thin dress clinging to her skin. Her hands trembled, not just from the cold, but from the men surrounding her. Behind her, a younger boy clutched the torn edge of her dress, hiding his face, his silent sobs lost in the storm. She didn't turn to comfort him. She couldn't. If she looked back, even for a second, she knew her courage would shatter. The men formed a half circle, their black coats blending into the shadows. Some smirked. Others watched with cold indifference. And then there was him, the one they all stood behind. The mafia boss. Calm, still, untouched by the rain. As if even the storm knew not to cross him, he stepped forward slowly, his polished shoes splashing lightly against the puddles. His gaze fell on the girl, studying her as though she were something unfamiliar, something that didn't belong in his world of power and fear. The girl swallowed hard. Her lips quivered, but her eyes held something that didn't match her fragile body. Not defiance. Not exactly. Something deeper. Something that had already seen too much. "Are you going to kill us?" she said, her voice cutting through the rain, thin but steady. The men exchanged glances, a few chuckling under their breath. The boy behind her tightened his grip, his small fingers digging into the fabric. The boss didn't respond immediately. He simply looked at her, his expression unreadable. She took a small step forward. "If yes, then do it quickly." The laughter died instantly. The alley fell silent except for the relentless rain. Even the boss's men seemed caught off guard. This wasn't how fear was supposed to look. This wasn't how victims spoke. The girl's chest rose and fell as she forced herself to stand still. "He's hungry," she added quietly, tilting her head just slightly toward the boy. "He hasn't eaten in 2 days. If you're going to do it, don't make him suffer longer." The boy whimpered softly, but she didn't move. Her eyes never left the man in front of her. For the first time, something shifted in the boss's face. Not anger, not amusement. Something almost human. "You think I would kill children?" he finally asked, his voice low, smooth, but carrying an edge that made even his own men stiffen. The girl didn't hesitate. "Men like you don't need a reason." A sharp intake of breath came from one of the guards. Another muttered something under his breath, ready to step forward, but the boss raised a hand slightly, stopping them all without looking away from her. The rain softened, as if the world itself leaned in to listen. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated for the first time. "Just a second." Then, "It doesn't matter." "It does to me." She frowned, confused. Names didn't matter in her world. Names didn't feed you. Names didn't protect you. "Isla," she said finally. The boss nodded slowly, as if committing it to memory. Then his gaze shifted briefly to the boy behind her. "And him." "My brother." Another pause. Then something no one expected happened. The boss took off his coat. One of his men stepped forward instantly. "Boss, the rain." Quiet. He moved closer, closing the distance until he stood just a few feet away from the girl. She tensed, her body ready to shield her brother if needed. Instead, he crouched down at her level. The coat in his hands was expensive, too clean, too perfect for a place like this. He gently placed it over her shoulders. She froze. "I don't kill people who have already been fighting to survive," he said quietly. The words didn't sound like mercy. They sounded like something heavier, something personal. Isla blinked, confused, her fingers slowly gripping the edges of the coat as warmth spread across her cold skin. Then, "Why are we here?" she asked. The boss stood back up, his face hardening again as he turned to his men. "Because someone told me there were thieves in my territory." The men shifted uncomfortably. He looked back at her. "Did you steal?" She hesitated. Bread, she admitted. For him. A long silence followed. Then the boss let out a slow breath, almost like a quiet laugh without humor. Next time, he said, steal from someone who deserves it. One of the men actually smiled at that. The boss turned, beginning to walk away. Get them food, he ordered without looking back, and find them a place to sleep. Somewhere dry. The girl's eyes widened. Why? He stopped, just for a moment. But he didn't turn around, because, he said softly, someone once gave me the same chance, and I didn't waste it. Then he disappeared into the rain, his figure swallowed by the darkness, leaving behind a silence that felt completely different now. Isla stood there, her brother slowly stepping out from behind her, his eyes wide with disbelief. Are we okay? He whispered. She looked down at him, then at the coat wrapped around her shoulders, still warm. For the first time in a long while, her voice softened. I think we are. And as the rain finally began to fade, the alley that once felt like the end of everything somehow started to feel like the beginning.